Okay, segment number 2. Welcome back to the show, my good friend Paul Baillargeon. Good to see you, Paul.
Hey, Dave. Good to see you, too.
I think the last time I saw you was at the Cahokia Breeze Central football game. You were shooting that. Like every time I'm at a sporting event, you were there, my man.
That's where we ran into him all the time.
Okay.
And I was just like 3 weeks removed from kidney failure.
Yeah, you had
really bad.
Yeah, all right.
Wow.
We're going to hear about that stuff. But first, I want to thank partner Cassens Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, the #1 place to purchase a vehicle in the Metro East. If you're in the market for a new or a pre-owned car, check out Cassens inventory in person where they've been for 30 years or online at Cassens.com. Cassens has earned the highest ratings for customer service. Their expert staff is committed to making your car buying experience enjoyable, including convenient on-site financing. I purchased 5 vehicles there, including that beautiful Gladiator out there in the parking lot, and I will not purchase a vehicle anyplace else. With over 90 years of experience in the Metro East, Cassens is the clear-cut leader for quality, service, and customer satisfaction. Go see Steve, Cliff, Holly, Greg, Bob, Mike, or Evan today. It's almost the kind of thing where as long as there's been cars, Cassens has been selling them. If they've been around for 90 years, I mean...
You know, they used to own, I don't know if they still do, the land that the Chrysler plant is up in Belvedere.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, there you go. Into a lot of things. Okay. Paul, so nice to see you. What have you been up to, man?
Well, I just finished shooting the Valmeyer baseball tournament for the Waterloo Republic Times and spent a lot of days in the hot, steamy, non-wind-bearing valley down there in Valmeyer. But you know what you're going to get when you go down there. But it rained a lot down there, and they had to dodge the rain, including the championship game we had to stop the game for like 20 minutes because of rain. I got some neat pictures from it, you know, but it makes for a long afternoon.
You were just... I know that you were accepted, but have you been inducted yet into the Illinois Sports Hall of Fame?
That'll be in a few weeks up in Springfield. Our friend Steve Porter is also being inducted with me up there. And I believe that's the 25th, and the day before is the IBCA golf tournament. So it's going to be a busy weekend for me in Ports that weekend.
How many Halls of Fame are you in?
This will be my 5th one.
5th?
Wow.
What are they? Is it hard for you to remember them all?
Well, there's IBCA, the Illinois Sports Hall of Fame, the Montclair League. There's a Southwest Baseball Association Baseball Hall of Fame, and then the National Semi-Pro Baseball Hall of Fame.
Okay. So when you listen to that resume, it's obvious that the majority of your sports photography career has centered on baseball.
It has, yes, but if anybody knows me, being in high school, you cover every sport under the sun, even more on the Missouri side of the river.
Is baseball still your favorite to cover? I know that you have a background in baseball. You told me about your baseball playing experience one of the times you were on the show. You did some coaching too, right?
I coached for 30 years, starting at the T-ball level all the way up to 2 different programs for American Legion. So, you know, it's easier when you know the game more intimately. Not that I don't, understand all the other stuff, but I do. But it's nice to be on the same level mentally, trying to figure out what's going on out there. Though sometimes they don't do what I want them to do as far as coaching.
Yeah, I don't think I have a pretty good understanding of a few sports, but there are some sports that still are mysterious to me. Soccer is one.
Yeah, I've told people before, if you told me right now, Paul, I'll give you $1 million if you can correctly name every position by their official name in soccer, and this next year will be my 40th year shooting editorially for the newspapers, I would flunk that test. I have no clue what all the, I know what the goalie is, but to me it's offense and defense.
Forward, striker, midfield, fullbacks.
No idea.
Maybe you play with the sweeper, maybe you don't. So I don't know.
There's a couple more than that.
That's basically it. Anyway. All right. So what's next for you? What's the after your? Well, first of all, congratulations on your impending Hall of Fame in the Illinois Sports Hall of Fame, and that one's a little bit more inclusive because it's not just our region and it's not just baseball. Fair to say this is the biggest one that you've gone into?
You know, it is probably going to be the biggest one. On the National Baseball Semi-Pro Hall of Fame, it's pretty big. It covers a big area, but it's not as well known. but this is on your own turf. This is here in Illinois, and most people will know the majority of the professional athletes that are going in there. And it's just sometimes I look at the roster of people that are in there. I'm like, what am I doing out here?
I think Lindsay Kennedy Eversmeyer went in last year along with Michael Jordan.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I think most people have heard of Michael Jordan, so that's you're going to be in the same Hall of Fame as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, well, Rick Hummels is going in with us in the media this year, and Isringhausen from up in Southwest Piesaw is going in also.
We just had his daughter on the podcast last week. Yeah, she's a soccer player at McGivney.
So, there's just a ton of people that people ever looked at the roster, they would know probably 50, 60% of the names out there.
Well, now they're going to know your name too.
They still don't know how to spell it.
What are you most proud of?
I've been telling people because, like I said, next year, well, starting with this year with the fall going into the spring, it'll be my 40th year. I had no idea that I would be around that long taking pictures because it was not the easiest road there. The News Democrat treated me fine. The Post-Dispatches treated me fine. The Suburban Journals did not treat me very well in my 20 years out there. And so longevity, and I tell people, I said, and you can do this nowadays, but back when we grew up, you need to get a high school education, and you could have got a job in a factory or whatever. And if it didn't pan out, your other option was the military, right? Those were like the only options you had. I have no college education. I did not aspire to be a photographer. So if you don't aspire to be a photographer, nobody ever aspires to get in any Hall of Fame. That is something that's down the road you never even think of. Your thing is to put bread on the table, and support your family. I mean, that's what you're working for day to day, and maybe do this or do that, But you just don't think about that. And I tell people, I didn't have a college education. Now, kids today can get rich doing whatever they want to because the world's their oyster with social media and everything like that. But back in the day, that was totally different. So not having that college education, not having a formal lesson is something I'm pretty darn proud of.
In photography.
Yeah. And like I said, any 5-year-old can grab my camera and take the same pictures I can nowadays, but there's more to it than that, obviously.
How did you learn how to take great pictures? Was it just trial and error and looking at your own work, or did you have some mentors?
I did not have any mentors. The way I got started was on a Saturday afternoon in April, on one of those first spring days where you open up the windows to the house from the wintertime and you hear every car going by playing every genre of music, kids dribbling the basketball, kids screaming and yelling, okay? And all of a sudden, I hear a tire squealing, I hear a crash and a boom, my apartment building shaking. I go to my son's bedroom, and there's a car bumper sticking out. And a 16-year-old girl was trying to beat traffic, didn't make the turn, and ran over basically a concrete barrier, a step that was about 18 inches high, and crashed into my son's bedroom. I took a picture with that. Back in those days, a 35 millimeter was pretty high up because most people had a 110 or 126 camera or a Kodak disc camera, if you remember those things. And so I took a picture, gave it to the editor of the Millstadt paper. I was asked a few weeks later to take some pictures at the county fair. Now, they weren't the best, I will tell you that. And the subject was my son and his friend.
What were you doing for a living at that point?
I was basically working retail.
Where?
I had once worked at Kmart of all places, in the photo department of all things. And
were you developing pictures and putting them in the envelopes, and then you get to see everybody's pictures?
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Man, I bet you saw some awesome pictures.
It opened my eyes to a lot of things, including this. People don't see me, but you know that I'm half Asian, half American, so I got dark eyes. And growing up, our pictures looked normal, but when I sat in that room there at Kmart, our job was to count the pictures, not necessarily look at the pictures. I had 23 exposures. I had to make sure there's 23 exposures. But what I didn't realize was when I saw all these blonde hair, blue-eyed kids with the red eye, massive red eyes that looked like vampires, and they were dead, especially at Christmas time, and didn't understand what the phenomenon was to create all that red eye, because dark-eyed kids don't get that.
Huh. The red eye, is that from a flash?
The flash is setting too low to the axis of the lens, and so when the flash goes off, it goes directly into your eye, and it bounces back, and like with you having the light eyes, it all reflects back. through there.
People with brown eyes don't get red eye in photographs.
Very rarely do they do.
I don't see red eye in pictures anymore, though.
No. And, then they create the red eye reduction, which was they would, on your flash, it would pop 3 little flashes to get your pupil to close a little bit to reduce that instead of having a big red eye out there. But I just didn't understand all that stuff back in the day.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that red eye. That's
so
funny.
yeah, I did learn. I've been over the world a zillion times with things. And, we did everything from people's pictures to police department pictures to hospital pictures to anything under the sun and people's personal pictures and things you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I bet. And I remember dropping the film off at Photomat, and then a week later coming back to pick it up. That was such an exciting thing, and nobody does that anymore. Obviously, it's all pictures on a camera, on a phone.
There's still, I think CVS and Walgreens still has a photo service where you can go out and drop things off. Now, back in the day, it went from like 2 weeks to a week, then it went to a couple days, then it was like next day service. So it really revolutionized over time. But once we got into the digital age, it's right there. You didn't need that. But the filmmakers are starting to make a little bit of a comeback now. But it's expensive as heck to buy the film, get it processed, and having to wait.
Plenty more with Paul Baillargeon, but first, if you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Metro East on the Illinois or the Missouri side, please give my friend at Keller Williams Marquis Jeb and Ginger Blasting Game the chance to serve you. They have offices in O'Fallon and Edwardsville with more than 165 agents. The Blasting Games are a family-owned business that has helped over 11,000 families find just the right home. The Lipes are one of those families. Jeb and Ginger sold our house so fast because they're experts at staging and pricing, and they helped us find the perfect home, and they can do the same for you. No wonder they've been ranked in the top 10 real estate teams in North America. Give Jeb and Ginger Blasting Game a call at 618-578-9276 or check them out online at blastinggamegroup.com. You will not be disappointed. That's a guy that I trust completely, Jeb Blasting Game. Okay. What are you shooting now? What kind of camera? What equipment do you use?
I shoot a Canon R5, which is a mirrorless camera, and it gets like 20 frames a second. So that makes your job a little bit easier, getting just that perfect shot that you want out there for the most part. And then I have, of course, an assortment of lenses out there.
How many cameras do you take to a shoot? Like when you go to a football game, say, how many cameras do you take?
Yeah, I'm still old-fashioned. I take one. I'll take along multiple lenses. Usually in the wintertime, all I carry with me is a camera body, a 70-200, and a wide angle. Don't need much more than that. So go easy, go light. Summertime, like down in Valmeyer, I took 2 different 300-millimeter lens with me, a wide angle lens, and a camera body. And so you got to have the wide angle for the group picture at the end more than anything else.
I think where to stand at the game. I think I like to watch veteran photographers like you to see where do you set up at the game. The football game at which I saw you last, you were in the end zone. That's where you like to be for football?
No, that was because of coming off the kidney issue.
Okay.
And I had shot 2 weeks before that, or 3 weeks before that, I shot at Dupo High School. And once I got out of the hospital, I waited. It was like 10 days later, and I had everybody just give me all sorts of grief about going out there and shooting. I said, listen, I'm sitting in a chair in the end zone. It was just tough to still get back and forth walking, but I'm tired of sitting at home. I was in the hospital for 10 days. So I talked to the athletic director, and they agreed to get me a chair. I told them I was going to stand, and I had lined up some help in case I needed it. And it figures all the scoring was down at the other end in the first quarter for the game. So I didn't get any scoring that game. That's a rarity. But during a game, I will walk up and down the sidelines multiple times on both sides of the field. If it's 2 local teams, I always try to make sure I get pictures of the coaches. That's always one of the things on the list is always get fresh pictures of the coaches out there and things along the sideline. So I move around quite a bit. Now, for the baseball this weekend, because of the way the field was and the dugouts were, the third base dugout was right in the sun field. So you're baking in there. So I sat in the first base dugout pretty much the whole weekend. And, it was still hot, but you're not having the sun going right at you. Plus, shooting directly in the sun is not a good thing either. But you know, it's soccer. You just got to move around a whole lot. But it was weird because after that Cahokia football game, I was sent out to Valley Catholic High School, way down in Jefferson County, because they had no steps there. I was having a hard time navigating steps. I drove all the way out there, an hour and 15 minutes to cover a football game on a Friday night because the parking lot to the field was less than 50 feet. So it was easier for me. Then I went to Cahokia, okay? And you know, there's no steps out there. So I went to 3 football games with no steps to navigate. So I did my homework, and the guys at my copy editor, Chris Gove, agreed to work with me, which was really nice. I got a good copy editor out there that says I can't navigate steps. There's no way I could go to a CBC, somewhere like that, where you got to navigate 30, 40 steps up and down. I just couldn't do that. So I was able to work, and still my numbers were not the best, but they were going in the right direction. So it was just a situation that I was happy to work. It's good to get out of the house.
I bet. I've got a question for you, Paul. I'm trying to upgrade myself from taking photos when we go out to games on our phone. I just came up with it. My girlfriend bought me a new camera. I have no idea how to use the darn thing. Is there a YouTube video or anything?
Well,
what kind of camera? Tell them what kind of camera you have.
I got the Canon. It's a pretty nice camera, expensive, but it's one for beginners.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to find out what type of camera you have and what your capabilities are. Okay. Because people always say, well, I want to take pictures like that. And I go, well, what are you going to use it for? And let's go back 20 years ago. I said, well, you know what? You don't need a camera like mine. It's like buying a Cadillac and sitting in the garage and taking it out once a week. I says, just get a point and shoot. That's all you really need out there. So your situation is, you know, you need to read into what some of your settings are and what type of lenses you have, and that will determine a whole lot of things. Now, that being said, you can still come up with pictures. You may be limited to what you can get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I took my camera to the College World Series back in 2015, and they had all these rules that you couldn't have a lens longer than the body.
Okay.
So I brought mine in. Yeah, it's like that in any professional place.
Wait, what? You can't have a lens longer than what?
The width of the body, the length of the body.
Okay.
And some professional places are like that.
Why?
They're all worried about advertising, you stealing, licensing things like that you're going to turn around and sell your pictures, make $1 million off of it. And this is an NCAA event, so you know how they are with everything. So I walked past 2 checkpoints, and then some guy saw me taking pictures, came up, introduced himself as the NCAA, and says, I believe you have an illegal lens on your camera. I says, I do not. He goes, how'd you get in? I said, I walked past 2 checkpoints. He says, well, I need to measure it. So then I took the lens, I retracted it, okay, because it was a zoom lens. At the very end, we have what we call lens hoods. And lens hoods block stray light from coming in, and they're designed to screw on, and then when you get done with it, you screw it on backwards. When I did that, he thought I was like Mr. Gadget. I was trying to pull something on him. And what I did not know was the NCAA credentials were made to measure the length of a camera.
No way.
Yeah. So anything that was past the length of that so-called camera was on their credential was illegal. So, you know, when you just look at a credential, and there's other things built into it from the NCAA, he had to eat crow. But me and Steve Overby were at the game, and we bought tickets off the street. We're 8 rows behind home plate. First time I ever went to Omaha. Because we were behind the plate, I was able to get the dog pile pictures, the celebration pictures, the trophy pictures, with even a shorter lens, because I knew what I was doing. So the things are all capable as long as you know what your limitations are. Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Favorite event you ever covered?
Covered. I would sit there and say it was the Cotton Bowl with Ohio State, Missouri, the Frozen Four last year. And, you know, there's been a lot of things over time that I've covered. And, you know, I was looking at something the other day, and they had some story about Tiny Tim.
Love Tiny Tim.
I actually met Tiny Tim in Collinsville about 25 years ago. Me and my friend, he was a big autograph hound. I said, you are not going to believe that Tiny Tim is in a circus in Collinsville. He's the headline. So
Wow.
we get out there, we got to pay whatever it was to get in, and we ran into Tiny Tim wearing a faded out white costume with pink flaming hearts and everything else. His ukulele is taped up with duct tape, and he looked really rough. So we asked him to pose for a picture, so we went behind one of the tents, which was a canvas tent, and the color looked great. And then we said, "Hey, here's an article we found in the paper." And he says, "No, I don't want. No." He says the press has not been kind to me. I said, "No, this is all good stuff." So we gave it to him, wished him luck, and then 4 days later, when I used to read cover to cover the papers, there's a blurb about this big: Tiny Tim quits the circus in Milwaukee. And we always wondered, did he read the newspaper and was that the final straw that he sat there and says, "I'm in a circus out here for $10? And he was gone. He quit the circus.
Favorite picture you've taken? Do you have a particular favorite? You've got to have a handful of ones that, like if I was going to say enter one photograph into a big time contest, is there one picture that you're like, oh?
Well, I won first place in the Illinois Press Association sports photo 3 years ago. And it was down to Valmeyer, and they kept throwing pickoff throws to first base. So I'm in the dugout. I'm sitting down low. I zoomed in, and I went ahead and went to a whole stop overexposure, which I know you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. But what that does is they got the helmet on. You can't see the face, and he was Latino, okay? So this lightens up the area. And a picture of him is him reaching for the base, his hands above the base, dirt flying everywhere, and you see the glove going across the base. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and I cropped it up, and that's all you saw, and that won first place in a press association award. So that's probably my favorite picture.
Why do you think that picture was so well received?
Because it was up close, and it left you, the reader, guessing, was he safe or was he out? Yeah.
Because I feel like in the past you've told me that you think capturing the emotion on an athlete's face is where it's at. And in this picture you're describing, there's no face.
Yeah. You could barely see his eyes in there. But, the thing is, you see the helmet, and the helmet was white. The uniform was like this color, baby blue. And you got the color of the glove out there, and you had dirt flying everywhere, okay? It wasn't the turf. It's turf stuff. This was real dirt out there. And so, like I said, that there just captured the whole essence of a tight crop picture.
I can't remember which filmmaker, but one famous filmmaker said that making films, getting the right shot, there's always just a little bit of luck to it.
There is.
So, you agree?
Yeah. Oh, there is. Some of my better shots over the years have come up just from dumb luck. I took a picture one. We've all been to football games, and every football game there's that one, moment in every game, and the running back is running right at me. So you got, what are you going to do? So I'm running away. My camera and my lens is on the monitor. I'm running away backwards, still with the finger on the shutter, and you're hearing all this. And the kid got hit low, did a 360 in the air before he hit the ground. I went back to look at the picture. I couldn't find it. I know I got something. So when I went back home, it was all on the right side of the photograph. I didn't look there. And here it was, him in the air, like 3 feet off the ground, completely off the ground, spinning in the air. And I took that running away from the scene. That's dumb luck.
Well, it's funny you talk about luck, Paul. I covered a lot of the soccer games, playoff games, and you had to be in the. I was lucky. I think it was Father McGivney's Beck's winning goal, but I just happened to be in the right spot because there was a bunch of stuff happening, and I was always in the wrong side of the field, or in a not good position for that.
And it happens. I mean, sometimes you just got to guess, and sometimes it's just dumb luck. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the wrong side of the field.
Oh, I bet.
I went out and shot a McKendree football game about 10, 12 years ago. They scored 7 times. I got every touchdown that was scored, including walking all the way down the other field when McKendree's on the 20-yard line, thinking, okay, let's see what happens. Sure enough, they throw a long pass. I'm right there to get it. And then on the ensuing kickoff and everything like that, I thought, I got a feeling they're going to get an interception and run it back. And it happened.
Wow.
It happened. Sometimes your intuition's right. Sometimes it's wrong. And if you're wrong, like, okay,
You got other stuff. There's other photos during the game that you can take. All right. I've got a few more questions for you, but first, located northeast of Edwardsville, Oakbrook Golf Club is a family-owned 27-hole public golf facility, and their goal is to offer the highest quality golf experience for a reasonable fee. Oakbrook is consistently recognized for awards such as Friendliest Staff, Best Course to Host a Fundraiser, and Best Senior Scramble in the bi-state area. From fundraisers to leagues to instruction to an afternoon out on the links by yourself or with your friends, the Brook wants to win your business. I've personally played and hosted multiple golf scrambles there. I've lost hundreds of balls there, and I promise you, Mike Surrey and his staff are the best. To book your next tee time or to start organizing your next fundraising scramble, give them a call at 656-5600 or check them out online at oakbrookgc.com. Whose work do you admire? What photographers, either people that you know or people that you don't know, whose pictures do you look at and say, you know what, that person does a good job?
A lot of my colleagues that I work with, Tim Vieser from Belleville used to be the head photographer at the News Democrat. He was a pool photographer for the World Cup, and he also works for an agency out of France to shoot a lot of soccer, a lot of the friendlies and stuff like that in St. Louis or up in Kansas City. So Tim's Tim's son played soccer also. So Tim, it's another thing. His kid played. He's been around soccer a whole lot. So Tim's been covering this World Cup. That's got to be a bucket list thing for a lot of people out there. He's very, very good, And the guys that I work with at the Post they're all good. We've got 4 or 5 guys out there that have a minimum 25, 30 years experience, with the exception of Paul Halfaker, who's not as old as what we are. And Paul's brilliant, And so Jimmy Simmons is good, And so we feed off each other out there, and it's just a lot of fun going back and looking at other people's galleries, because you pick up ideas sometimes.
Is the journalism world, are you guys supportive of each other? I always thought that you guys would be rivals with each other for photographers, but
we really haven't. When I worked at the BND, I never worked with Tim because we had different assignments. And now we work with the Post, we don't work with each other. But when I was with the Post Dispatch, he was the BND, we'd see him out there all the time. Okay? So, these are guys you work with, and I hope they respect me as much as I respect them, and I think they do. But we're also friends away from the field for a lot of different things. And so if you have a technical question, call anybody up and say, hey, I got this problem. What should I do? Somebody will have an answer for you.
You hear that, KP?
Yep.
Back in the day, it wasn't like that before.
It's changed.
Mm-hmm.
The whole industry has changed because the technology has changed so much. And I know that one of your hot buttons is people who download other people's pictures.
Yep. It happened again this spring. A high school kid who runs a weekly poll, which I don't see how a 16-year-old kid can run a weekly poll and see all the teams in the area. Sorry. I mean, you guys see a lot of teams. That's different, okay?
Oh, that's right.
But, he stole 3 of my pictures from an event, and I was in a dugout with him a couple weeks, and I don't know if he knew who I was. I still haven't talked to him yet, but we will talk at some point in time.
Oh, so you haven't mentioned it to him yet?
No, because I was wanting to see if he would say anything to me, if he knew who I was.
See, I bet you from his perspective, it was just he didn't even think it was a thing. Like it didn't dawn on him. He's not making a living at this. He didn't think about the fact that this is how you make a living, and maybe you would have let him use it if he'd given you some credit. I don't know.
There's a sense of, hey, I don't have this. Can I borrow this? And you're okay with some things like that, but to sit there and see 1, 2, and then 3 of your images, that's not good.
Is it watermarked for you? Like, do you put your initials on it? So when he took it, was it identified as yours?
No, because the Post does not let us watermark our stuff. So people can go in there and steal it right off the net.
Wow.
And so, it's just one of those things. And so, parents do the same thing. They'll go out and steal stuff. You see it all on their social media. I think, if you're going to take something from somewhere, at least put the source down where you got and who the photographer was. That'd be at the minimum, I think, of respecting what we're doing out there. But we don't get a whole lot of residual calls to buy pictures because it's just easier to take them.
Yeah. And it's one thing to borrow your picture and put it on your Twitter account and say, look at my kid, he had a great game. It's another thing to be using it commercially for your poll.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, and he may not be making money, but that's not the point, because I talked to the athletic director already about it, and the kid was talking about his branding. Well, if you start talking your branding, you're talking about making money somewhere, and you better know what these rules are. I still think the high school should put a situation to these kids who are taking pictures for the high school and bring them into a room and have meetings with them and explain to them copyright and everything else like that. Though there's no time and place to do this in a regular classroom. If you're teaching these classes at the high school, I really think they need to talk to these kids about responsibilities and things like that, because it's where you learn things. I mean, we can remember not being old enough, but every time we threw a VHS tape in, what was the first thing that popped up? FBI.
Yes.
And he's like, what's that? Oh, it's just copyright. What's that mean? You can't copy. We all did it, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with Napster got caught. There's no more Napster out there.
Yeah.
So
it's your intellectual property. It's how you make a living, and people shouldn't just be taking it. And I think in a lot of cases, it's just insensitivity. They just haven't thought about it. They're not thinking about it. They're not thinking, it's not like they're in their mind, they're not reaching their hand into the cash drawer and taking out cash. In their mind, they're just, hey, this is just a one-off thing for me, but they don't realize the magnitude, how often it happens.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine who had a picture in the paper, and the parent went ahead and had it printed, the picture on a T-shirt that still had the watermark on there. Now, whoever printed that's the one who's liable. But these parents have no shame. Yeah. It had the watermark on it. That's how they printed the T-shirt up.
Well, what else do we need to talk about? What's coming up for you? What's next?
Well, I got some downtime until we start the high school season, and we have our Super 30 football athletes coming up, so I'm looking forward to the high school season starting. In the summertime, I'll do a little bit of the Gateway Grizzlies. I've talked to them over the last couple of years, so they've welcomed me back as a different group of people out there. And I'll shoot some more Montclair stuff. Like I said, the Post-Dispatch will call me occasionally and say, hey, can you go out there and get this or this? I do some freelance for the Republic Times out of Waterloo also. And I'm a freelancer, so if I find work out there, I'll get out there and get it done. Tell
the Post-Dispatch you need to come out and shoot the Edwardsville Futures.
Dave, you have no idea how I've always wondered how come I've never been sent out to Edwardsville but one time. One time I've been out to Edwardsville to shoot tennis.
Really?
Yes, once.
Well, I'm begging for you to come out there.
I would love to.
All right, let's listen to our friend.
Hello, my dear friends. Well, here I am on record.
It's your buddy.
And it feels so wonderful to be loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Having got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime.
Little Tiny Tim,
Little Tiny Tim. Man has a voice of an angel. And it's your fault he quit.
It could be.
The circus.
You never know.
All right, Paul Baillargeon, 5-time Hall of Famer, and one of the most popular guests on the show. Thanks so much for coming by today. Any shout-outs before you get out of here?
You know what, Dave? I would say shout out to you. Congratulations on your national award. That's just I'm sitting in a room of greatness out here, and sometimes you need to have that pat on the back too. And you've done a great thing for not only your high school but tennis in the region. I know with you and Coach Scarry used to be at Belleville East and coach out at Alton.
Bob Keefe.
And Bob Keefe.
Yeah,
and Alton,
Jesse Macias, Leon Wright.
Yeah, have just a fabulous job. And I see Coach Keefe everywhere. He's over in Missouri coaching.
Legend.
He's still winning state championships over there.
At John Burroughs.
And he was he was teaching and coaching at Belleville West when I first went to high school there.
He's been around a while.
He's been around a long time, yes.
He just retired from SWIC, too. He was helping Dan Scare at SWIC. Dan Scare's the head coach at SWIC now, too. Paul Baillargeon, thanks so much. Stay cool.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate it.